A fun chance right now to visit with Todd Walkingstick, Owatonna sports fan, Viking sports fan, Gopher sports fan in general, and Todd, Huskies state champs, Gophers win, Vikings win. This was a football weekend like has never happened for our local sports fan.
I saw a Star Tribune article today, first time ever, Vikings and Gophers won in the same weekend over the Badgers and Packers.
Okay, well, first time ever would be pretty amazing, and then throw in the fact that Owatonna won its championship, which Owatonna has 3 championships through time, and I highly doubt both the Vikings and Packers and Gophers and Badgers were all playing on those same weekends. So for us, this is even more special.
Yeah, the Huskies, I mean, I was at the game, obviously, Saturday, and I realized St. Thomas Academy, they really hit. Those guys are physical, but man, credit Owatonna, they didn't back down. Those kids played as good a defensive game maybe I've ever seen out of high school. They weren't backing down from St. Thomas. McFadden, he got us some yards, but he had to fight for, as you know, everything. So it wasn't like 20-yard runs, 30-yard runs. It was 2 to 3. Man, the defensive wall of, call it the steel curtain with Lewis and Stronsky, and not to shame anybody else, but I mean those two are just in the middle, just clogging everything up.
Yeah, and those are seniors that they're going to lose off that line. Roman, the other starter on that line for Owatonna. Now, for the Huskies, the sledding was also pretty tough. Williamson wasn't exactly getting big chunks of yardage. He had 38 yards on 11 carries through halftime, but then came the play that has gone viral, has gone international and interstellar, if it's possible.
I'm sure 99% of people listening have seen it already, but to be there, I actually thought he was down for a minute. I mean, it looked like he was down. All of a sudden, he spins, and as you know, goodbye. It was critical. I think I counted 5 guys that had good hands on him. It wasn't like they had him wrapped. I don't know how, credit Jason for his strength, but I don't know how he got out of at least 2 of those arms.
You're right that we can all see it now. We've seen it a lot of times. For the record, I think we did a pretty good job on the radio as well, and people can go to our website, krforadio.com. We've got the audio posted of the play, and as I was calling it, I was saying he's just kind of saying he spins out of one move, spins out of another, and then I kind of lost it. And at the time it was happening, it did not look to me that he was down, and then when we saw the replays, we knew it for sure, and Brad talked about that in analyzing the play as well. But you talk about a guy who just doesn't give up on a play, and that would be an example of that, because he got his arm down beneath himself to keep himself well balanced and keep his knee off the ground. He knew he wasn't down, and he kept running, and that was the play of the game.
Well, 3-0 for most of the game. Was that up to halftime? I think it wasn't a 3-0 St. Thomas at half. So really, one touchdown either way. The way the defense, it was going to be game over. If St. Thomas scored and went 10-0, it could be trouble for Owatonna. But Owatonna goes up 7-3. I didn't see St. Thomas scoring because, honestly, the St. Thomas Academy, the quarterback the week before I watched the game, and he looked very good. And Saturday he looked terrible. Credit Owatonna defense. He just looked rattled all game.
Well, and again, going to both sides' defenses, they were on the receivers well and chasing the quarterback around, and it came to the 2 running backs who had similar numbers in the first half, and it certainly wasn't the show that maybe some were thinking, with Williamson and McFadden each running wild against each other, and even like last season where Owatonna had that great 63-point effort in the win over Elk River in the championship, but with a game that has such a defensive spin to it, every play so important, every yard. It makes for a real fun look back on it, maybe more so than a game where there's 100 points scored. Well,
yeah, I think I watched every prep bowl game, anywhere from 9-man all the way up, and to close out the chapter, book, whatever you're going to call it, on probably the best state championship game maybe of all time, with a defensive battle like that. The TV station, the radios, everybody couldn't have got a better ending to the season than 1 versus 2, 14-3 defensive battle. High school 14-3, it's unheard of. But credit, Octakirk and his defensive scheme, and the kids coming, like you said, at the welcome home party. They played their game that he asked them to play, and they didn't miss tackles. If they did, there was 3 more guys on the guy. So McFadden had to work. I think he didn't have about 100 yards, but he had to work for everything. Everything. That kid had to been exhausted.
You know, and it's funny you say that if Owatonna, maybe if the first guy didn't make the tackle, the second, third, and fourth guy were there, for the play that Williamson scored the long 71-yard touchdown run, St. Thomas Academy did have 2 and 3 guys there, and they still couldn't bring him down.
It's the story of the whole season, Roy. I mean, every team, every single fan knows who's going to get the ball. There's no hiding it. But the kid just gets 2, 3, 471 yards, and the teams know he's going to get it. That's the most bizarre thing of this whole season is, yes, you got to be a football idiot not to know he's not going to get the ball. But he just does it. It's just, I mean, of course, the offensive line, you got to credit those guys. I mean, everybody across has to crease a hole, and once he has a vision of the hole, it's all up to him. But, I mean, their line, A+, Jason, again, the whole state of Minnesota knew he was getting the ball, coaches, players, but it's just the craziest thing I've ever seen. He did 7,011 yards in his career, but this year was, I don't know the numbers offhand this year, but geez, wow.
Yeah, surpassed 7,000 yards for his career, and I guess I'd have to look to see if he had to have passed 3,000 yards this season because he came into this season with exactly 4,000 career yards. So to have surpassed 7,000 for his career, only the second guy in Minnesota history to do so, he would have just had over 3,000 yards this season, which might be the best or second best individual season. He got the touchdown record for career touchdowns. And anytime people try to heap praise on Jason, he's quick to share it with the coaches and his teammates. He just seems like such a humble guy that happy to see such good things happen for a guy like that.
Well, think of something else scary. The Faribault game, the first game of the year, he missed. I mean, the yardage, wow, it's hard. I don't know how Faribault was on week 1, but it could have been really, really astronomical. Not that it wasn't already, but man, that could have been really something. But, you know, the whole season, just Owatonna fans, the way they traveled Saturday, I don't know how many people are there. You might have seen it better. I mean, we're in it, so it's hard to tell how many. But you could. I'm assuming you could see the blue, and I mean, I know blue, but it's hard to tell how many people are on our side.
I certainly don't know the numbers, and I don't know that part of things. It was pretty much Owatonna fans from goal line to goal line on the lower bowl. We were on the opposite side of where all the fans were to be broadcasting from. So it was just a fantastic turnout. Referencing that Faribault game, I believe the stats in the Faribault game were 2 yards rushing. He did have the long touchdown reception on a little shovel pass. Jason did back in that season opener, but coming off the injury from summer, he only had 2 yards rushing. So you're right. When you think about where those numbers could have been and might he threatened, I don't know if he would have quite threatened the all-time record, but he really didn't play a lot in that Faribault game to open the season.
No, and I got to add props out to Zach Stronsky, too, for maybe, not to offend anybody, but maybe the defensive play of the year when he popped McFadden on the strip. Because St. Thomas was, you could tell they were ready to roll. They were, about 50-yard line to go ahead touchdown potentially, and man, Stronsky popped that ball, and or the Geffrey that jumped on it. That the whole season was summarized right there. The opportunistic Huskies defense, and McFadden, number 2 state running back. He doesn't fumble typically. I don't believe is what I've read.
Yeah, he did have a fumble in the previous week's game, so not that he never fumbles, and everybody, everyone's going to lose a ball here and there, but I'm sure it's rare for him, but I believe he fumbled in the win they had over Bemidji, and then, of course, the fumble that you referenced that Owatonna got the ball, eventually scored that next touchdown to put the game pretty much out of reach, up by 2 scores with 1:27 to go.
Yeah, and then added, go NFL, Adrian Peterson, he always fought for the extra yard and fumbles. Not always, but he fumbled a lot. Jason fights for the yards, and I don't think he fumbled at all this year. If he did, it was minimal for fighting for those yards. You got to credit that kid for his hands, his awareness. Also credit to Saul Havelka for, he didn't rip up the stats, but he never fumbled. So, I mean, credit those kids for, St. Thomas was a very aggressive, probably, I'll say the most aggressive team we saw all year.
Yeah, they were a very, very good team, and defensively they were so good. Not enormous players, but very athletic players. So it certainly was more of a defensive battle, and as Coach Octakirk said during that welcome home, because something had been said about St. Thomas Academy being the #1 defense in the state, and Octakirk hollers, who's the #1 defense, or however he said it. That was pretty cool on Saturday, too.
Well, Nick Staska, too, in his interview with you on Welcome Home, the Fire, as Chaska had mentioned, you guys play the weakest section in the state. Well, that's not Fire for the kids. I don't think they really need Fire there anyways, but sure helped.
Yeah, something like that does. We're talking to Todd Walkingstick here, and looking back on that big Owatonna victory. The Huskies win the state championship on Saturday, and that was pretty much sandwiched right in between the Gophers winning, and Jason Williamson is going to be a Golden Gopher. He'll early enroll, so he'll be involved in spring practice and things like that. It'll be fun to watch where he ends up playing with the Gophers and things of that sort. And then you, on the other side here, the Minnesota Vikings knocked off the Packers. The Williamson touchdown run was featured on ESPN, and then again last night on Sunday Night Football. A little shout out from Tony Dungy and the gang, so that's pretty cool. And then you get those 2 victories, neither of which were a guarantee, of course. The Gophers going to Wisconsin, where they were a big underdog, and then Vikings, Packers, Green Bay, even though they're dinged up and banged up, any NFL game can go either way. So to get all that was pretty amazing.
Well, anytime you get Rodgers playing, you hold your breath. That guy can make teams look just terrible. And, but we credit the Vikings last night. Defense was outstanding. I mean, the second drive, we went for a 4th and short. I was all excited, and we had 12 minutes in a huddle. It's like, you got to be kidding.
Yeah.
After a timeout. But no, back to Owatonna with the Sports Center, and last night, credit people for saying Owatonna correctly, because how many times you hear radio or, people that don't know Owatonna, they say Owatonna wrong.
We've had Minnesota Twins folks in for different liners during the course of things, and not their fault, people coming from out of the state. But you know what? You hit that right on the head, Todd, that I don't know how they all got it just right, all those national people who said it, but that is really cool that they did.
No, this whole weekend was just bottled up, because it's a weekend that sports fans, and yes, it was Thanksgiving weekend. It's time to be thankful for everything we're given in life. Truly, I've learned that a couple years ago, or last year with my dad. Just be thankful, but sports-wise, as a sports fan of any level, we saw high school, college, and pro all pull it out for the state of Minnesota, and Owatonna specifically for our own hometown in southern Minnesota, and it was just neat. So exciting to be a sports fan.
All right. Hey, Todd, it's great to talk to you. Fun to capture your enthusiasm with everything. I was going to ask you if the Vikings had maybe set you up with a suite between Saturday night's high school game and then their game on Sunday, but I saw you at the welcome home and chatted with you there on Saturday night, so I knew that wasn't the case, and in your case, putting a few miles on the car to go check out your favorite football teams.
We actually put me in a seat of a row of 1.
Oh, okay.
So folding chairs with padded folding chairs, and that was awesome because you didn't have to be, like, seats are set where you have to sit there. You could move your folding chairs around.
Okay.
So we were next to the scoreboard, a huge scoreboard. That's where we sat.
Okay, they probably gave you a few light bulbs to change out anything if it went dead during the game, right?
Yeah, but I did, the Diggs touchdown was coming right at me.
Okay.
The Cook was the other way, and then Thielen's touchdown was at us, so it was really cool. Sitting in the end zone last night was a different perspective. Versus the side field. So that was kind of fun last night.
All right. Hey, Todd, again, great to talk to you. I'm sure we'll see you at more of these winter sporting events that are coming up, and it'll be a little bit before the Vikings play at home again, but with that win over the Packers on Sunday, their playoff possibilities increased in a dramatic way. They're the top wild card team right now, so we'll look forward to a lot more fun things from that perspective as well.
Well, thank you, Roy. Have a great week.
All right. You too, Todd.